In an industry that's pretty much oversaturated with superhero movies, it's about time we've gotten a really good spoof. The Lego Batman movie is a spin-off to the Lego movie that came out in 2014. It focuses on that movie's version of Batman, who's a self-centered and pretty lonely jerk, sort of like the real Batman is indirectly. And without spoiling too much, the story basically comes down to Batman having to learn to appreciate other people. And he learns this through a fast-paced, over-the-top, and comedic action-adventure. Sure, the movie does spend a lot of time making fun of Batman and like superheroes as a whole, but a big focus is making it a movie, much like the Lego movie was. Creating something that's really unexpectedly enjoyable and well made. The way I see it, the first act of this movie is like a really good, fast-paced YouTube parody skit. Like they could have just released the first maybe 15 or so minutes of the movie as like a completely separate direct-to-DVD thing or something. And I would have been beyond satisfied because it's just hilarious and crazy. But after that, the movie kind of slows down and begins to focus on creating a plot and making Batman learn. Like, it's still hilarity throughout, but I really feel like the very, very, very beginning of the movie is pretty drastically different from the rest. Maybe my only problem is that there isn't necessarily a good flow there. But who am I to judge? I feel like I really shouldn't say more about the story because it's pretty straightforward and like you kind of get the gist just from the trailers, but there is a pretty major additional thing that hasn't been spoiled in the commercials and stuff, and hopefully won't be, that makes it, you know, a Lego movie. One thing I will say is that this movie is filled to the brim with characters. Like, it's almost ridiculous. Many of them are just cameos, but they're all still very entertaining. The animation in this movie is like ridiculous, but it's sort of ridiculous in the same way that Lego movie is. I assume they sort of just use the same programming and stuff, so it doesn't technically look better than Lego movie does. It's still just CG simulated stop motion, but I feel like in this movie it does look a little better because there's a lot more hand-to-hand combat and driving and flying sequences. Plus, unlike Lego movie, where I felt, because in Lego movie they travel to so many different worlds, and this Batman movie just sort of focuses on Gotham, there's a definite like clear art style with a lot of neon colors that just always contrast with Batman's black and yellow, and it looks really pretty. Just some of the shots in here are really good, and you could clearly tell that they're directly from some concept art. Another really nice animation bit in this movie is the facial expressions. Sort of reminds me of Adventure Time a little bit, how the characters realistically kind of just have dot smile eyes, but they're really able to capture a lot of emotion somehow. Especially the Joker. I feel like whoever was animating him had a really fun time. And the voice acting too is just stellar and, you know, perfectly coincides with how well the animation is. There really isn't a single bad performance. It may seem like Will Arnett's sort of grainy Batman voice for an entire movie would get annoying, but it really doesn't. And he's able to get a lot of emotion through, even though he's just, you know, talking like this the whole time. Zach Galifianakis as the Joker is fantastic. He doesn't really try to copy any of the pre-existing Joker characters and really does his own thing. I don't personally really pay attention to actors and stuff, but it seems like this movie has a lot of very popular actors and they're all really good. Nobody's like half-assing it because this is just a kids movie. And ultimately, this really isn't even a kids movie. It's a very enjoyable family movie that really anybody would be able to find funny, and if you're a Batman fan, you would really enjoy it. What's really stellar about it to me is how it teaches a really clear and important moral, much like the Lego movie did. But this is a parody movie about a jerky Batman and fighting the Joker and goofy Robin and all that stuff, but it manages to have a moral that makes sense and is well inserted. The writers must have wrote around the lesson, like built the movie off the moral, instead of just thinking, alright, we need to like just do a bunch of Batman fan service and be funny, and then the studio executives want us to teach the kids something, so we gotta throw some of it in there. They really cared about creating a movie that is a good follow-up to the Lego movie, not just a Batman fan service parody adventure like it may seem. And one final thing to touch upon is the music, which is really good. There's enough vocal music in here for me to think it should be qualified as a musical too, on top of everything else that already is. It's got maybe 2 or 3 original songs and then just a lot of pop cultural ones that are all nice choices and fit the scenes and stuff. And just the traditional background music is really good too. I didn't really notice it because I focused on the dialogue so much during the movie, but when I went back and listened to it, it was very nice. And that's mostly all I have to say. If you couldn't tell, I really like this movie. I had high expectations because I love the Lego movie, and this movie exceeded my expectations. Got a great story, great characters, great comedy, great music, really great visuals. It's got everything you need in a great animated adventure. I give the Lego Batman movie an A. And that's all for this review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.